Hey, I'm Rahul, and today I'm going to show you how to prepare for an academic conference. So, I'm a fourth year PhD student, and I've attended several conferences. Honestly, I've lost count of how many conferences that I've attended. I've been to big conferences, small conferences, and everything in between. And what I realized is, as I'm preparing for a conference that I'm attending next week, that I really wish that when I was first starting out, I had a guide on how to prepare for an academic conference because I am way more prepared for the upcoming conference that I'm going to than I ever was when I was attending conferences when I was a first and second year, right? So I really wish there was some kind of guide that really explained how to actually prepare for these academic conferences. And that's what this video aims to do. So let's get started. Let's get the obvious stuff out of the way first, right? You want to prepare your talk, poster, whatever it is that you're presenting. Usually it'll be a podium talk where you present like in front of an audience. It's an oral presentation, or it's a poster presentation where you prepare a research poster and then people will come up to you and then you talk to them then. And either way, prepare it well in advance. And I've been the person who's preparing their poster like the day before the presentation. Don't do that. It's unnecessary stress. Get it done well in advance, at least a week before the conference, right? And also book your flights and your hotel early. So that's the obvious stuff. You already know that. You didn't watch video for me to tell you to prepare early. So now let's get into the stuff that I really wish I knew. So first, practice with your lab mates, right? A lot of people don't actually practice their talks before presenting at a conference, but that makes absolutely no sense. This is you disseminating your research to the world, right? Of course you want to practice it so you make sure that it's actually good, so you make a good reputation for yourself and your career and for your lab that you're representing when you're attending this conference, right? And sure, a lot of people present with their lab mates, typically like in a lab meeting, or you have a meeting with your advisor or something like that. You'll practice your talk a couple times. But not only should you do that, you should also be practicing for a general audience. The reason why is because your audience at the conference is going to be very different from your lab mates, right? Because in your lab, right, you guys are talking about the same things all the time. Everyone is already likely familiar with the work that you do. But at the conference, nobody's going to be familiar with your work, right? So you need to be able to communicate your research to an audience that is not necessarily familiar or has ever even heard of your work before. And the way that I like to do this is to practice with people who don't even really know what your research is about. So I'm talking about practice with your friends who are not in grad school. Practice with your boyfriend or girlfriend. Practice with your parents. And that will actually give you a much better understanding of how good your communication skills are, and not independent of how good your research is. Your lab mates are great at giving you feedback about the research and the actual technical aspects. And you do need to practice that as well, but you should also be practicing for the general audience as well. Another thing, a big mistake that I see people make is when they're presenting at a conference, they just present what their research is. Or for example, if they're working on a paper and they're presenting that paper at a conference, they just present that paper, right? They literally go in order of the paper, or they just present the paper like as it is, right? And that's not a very good thing to do, because one, your conference has a specific topic, right? You have to keep in mind who you're speaking to, right? The audience matters, right? And the audience for your paper is going to be very different than the audience of a conference, right? Typically, when you're publishing a paper, someone already knows kind of what they're looking for when they're reading the paper, right? They read the title and everything, and you can get as technical as you want within the paper, right? But when you're giving a talk, it's a little bit different, right? Typically, a conference will have multiple different sub-conferences within it, and your talk is going to be in a little subsection, right? For example, I'm going to an optics conference, right? So it's going to be extremely broad. Okay, and then I have a sub-conference about optical elastography, so optical methods to measure stiffness. Now, my conference talk should be catered to an audience for optical elastography, not for a general audience, not for the paper audience that I'm going for. I have to tailor the talk to the specific conference that I'm going to. And what really helps to do this is to actually read the description for the conference that you're going to. And I know that like the abstract submissions are typically like 6 months to a year outside or before the actual conference, right? So a lot of the times you can forget what you even wrote in the abstract when you're submitting the conference, because so much can change in that buffer time, right? So what you can do is go back to the actual call for proposals or the call for abstracts and actually look at what this conference is about, right? And another thing you can do is actually just look at the other talks that are in your session, so you kind of have an idea of where your talk fits in within the grand scheme of talks that are being given. You do not want to be the talk that's like all about research and is like kind of out of place in the conference, right? You don't want to be that person. So please keep in mind who the audience of your talk is. Think about why should they care? Why are they even at this conference? The people who are attending your talk are at this conference for a specific reason, right? And you want to cater your talk such that it interests them, right? It doesn't matter about what you're interested in. You want to cater your talk to what interests the people in the audience, and that will help you get the most out of this conference, right? So that will help you a ton. Just doing those things will make you so much more prepared than the average person going to a conference. So now let's go into the second section, which is diving a little bit deeper and actually doing your research about the specific conference that you're going to. So I like to think of there's two types of people who attend conference, right? There's passive conference goers and then there's active conference goers. So the passive conference goers, they have a group of people from their lab or their school that they kind of go to the conference with, and they kind of just follow their group around and they just kind of do whatever. They go to a talk here and there, but they're mostly at the conference to hang out. Oh, this is free travel for me. That's what the passive conference goers typically say. And then there's the active conference goers. These are the people who do their research. They have looked at the program. Also, you should not be going to a conference without having looked at the program beforehand. Like the program exists for a reason. You should be looking at it. So the active conference goer, they look through the program. They know exactly which talks they want to go to. And these are typically like the leaders of the group. And then the passive conference goers kind of just follow and they just go wherever that person, the active conference goer, ends up wanting to go. And this has happened to me so many times before. Right? So go to the talks in your field. Go talk to other people at the conference. You can talk to your lab mates anytime you want outside of the conference. At the conference, this is your time to talk to professors, talk to other students, make friends, things like that will actually help your career, right? You can socialize with your lab mates outside of the conference. So please be an active conference goer. The next thing you should do is research. This kind of builds on my last point, but research who is going to be at the conference, right? As a graduate student, you are reading the literature, right? You're doing literature reviews, you're reading papers, you know who the researchers in your field are. And you should be able to, by the time you're attending a conference, recognize the names of the researchers in your field. You should know like kind of who's in your field, right? So you should find out if the people in your field are going to be at the conferences that you're going to, right? Because if you got accepted to a conference, chances are these other labs that are doing similar research have also been accepted to your conference. So you should know the other people who are going to your conference in your field, right? And you should make it a super high priority. Literally one of the highest leverage things you can do at a conference is to actually meet and talk about research with the other people in your field. That's the entire point of an academic conference, right? The point of the conference is not to travel. The point of the conference is for for people who are doing similar research to get together and discuss ideas. That's the point of the conference. And that's the most high leverage thing that you can do as a student who is attending a conference. So you can reach out early to the people in your field who are doing research, who are going to be at your conference, who are giving talks, attend their talks, talk to them, and read their recent work. And look, when you reach out to these people, oftentimes you are not going to get a response. And I have sent out emails and I've gotten ghosted, and that's completely fine. Okay, a lot of the times what's going to happen is they don't respond to your email. Then you go up to them in person and you say, hey, I sent you an email. Like, I would love to talk to you about this. And then they're like, oh my God, this is the guy. Like, oftentimes people will like see the email, but they never get around to responding because look, professors are super busy. Other students are super busy. The conference has so many different things going on. Email is not people's number one priority at the conference. So send the email anyway, but still talk to them in person and make an introduction so you make yourself known in your field. Okay? And the other thing you can do, this is a secret method, is to arrange a little meet cute with people that you really want to meet. And this is something that I did at a conference last year. So I did my research. I knew there was like a pioneer in the field that I'm in who was presenting at the same conference that I was going to, but I was in a different session than he was. But someone in my lab was in the same session as him. And I had this entire plan, the mastermind plan in my mind to actually get to know this guy. So what I did was my lab mate who was presenting in the same session as him, I talked to her, and in her slide deck, right, I asked her to put a little thing about like the other people in the lab. And this is actually pretty common practice. So you don't even really need to ask other students to do this. But at the end of the talk, you can put like a slide showing the other people in your lab who are giving talks at the same conference. So I made sure that my name was on that last slide, okay? And then I went to her talk and I strategically sat right next to the person who I really wanted to meet, okay? So obviously if for professors and stuff, all of their pictures are online. You can like kind of know what they look like, right? And then I sat next to this person, and I really don't mean, this is not meant to be creepy at all. I was really just trying to make an introduction, right? And what happened was, after my lab mate gave her presentation, she was on the slide, and my picture was there, the title of my talk was there, and I saw the professor I wanted to talk to look at the screen, look at the talk, and start going on his phone typing. So I knew that because the title of my talk was related to his research, he was interested in it. And then literally during the Q&A, I nudged him. I was like, psst, psst, psst. Hey, are you XYZ? That's literally how the conversation went. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'm the person on the slide. So he kind of like, I was the person he was looking for. He was the person I was looking for. And then we were like, oh yeah, let's talk outside. And then after the talk, we talked outside. We decided to get lunch, and we ended up spending like the next 24 hours together. And it was amazing. It was a perfect introduction. And that's how I made a connection in my field. So you don't have to do all that, but if you don't want to just do the traditional, like email the person, arrange a meeting, then you can always try to arrange a little meet cute like that. Or another thing you can do is ask your advisor or ask someone that you do have a connection with to make an introduction for you. That's like the easier way to do it. But if you want to have fun and arrange a little meet cute, that works too. Okay. And now that brings me to the final point of this video, is to look good, feel good. And I know that might seem super obvious to you, but it's extremely important, right? The saying look good, feel good is so true, because if you look good, you'll be confident, you'll feel good, and if you feel good, you will perform good, right? So if you look good, you will give a better talk than if you don't look good. It's as simple as that. So have your suit or your outfits for the conference completely planned out beforehand. Know what you're going to wear. Please do not be the person who's wearing casual clothes at the conference. Don't be the person who's wearing sneakers at the conference. Some people get away with it, but typically these are the people who are super established in their field and they can get away with it, right? Their reputation precedes them. As a PhD student, you don't really have a reputation in science yet, right? So be professional, err on the side of overdressing. Just be the person who's super well dressed at everything, and it will serve you well, right? Get your stuff dry cleaned. Make sure like you don't have holes in your pants or anything. Actually, funny story, at the last conference that I was at, my pants completely ripped like down like my butt. And it was so bad. So I actually had to go get my pants tailored before this upcoming conference. So I went ahead and did that. And then go ahead and get your hair cut. And, everything you need to do to look good. I'm actually going to go get a haircut in like an hour. Just so I look fresh for the conference. Make sure you trim your beard, do all the things. Make sure you look good for the conference, and then you will feel good, and then you will give a better talk. Then you'll be more likely to make friends. Literally, it is a compounding effect, right? If you look good, everything in the conference will work out better. Make sure you have conference shoes. A lot of people don't have conference shoes. Get conference shoes. It's a very good investment. So that brings me to the end of this video. This is all of the points that I wish that I knew before I attended my first conference. So let me know what you think. And yeah, I'll see you next time.